episode, we will be exploring the top 10 must-know strategies for the PSLE 2023. To prepare this analysis, we meticulously reviewed school exam papers and PSLE papers from 2020 to 2022. The objective of this video is to provide you with essential exposure to the 10 most frequently tested question types. Our aim is to complement your PSLE revision and enhance your preparation for the exam. However, we do not recommend relying solely on this resource for your exam preparation. It is worth noting that in the previous year, 8 out of 10 of our top 10 strategies appear in the 2022 PSLE paper. Additionally, there were 6 other effective CalibreMath strategies that surfaced in the paper. This year, we have fine-tuned our criteria to provide you with a more precise analysis, leading to some adjustments in the rankings. Let's delve into the top 10 must-know strategies for 2023, one by one.
The last one on the list for 2023 is the magical red line. This strategy has surpassed fraction of a ratio as the most common question type for 2023. It is not surprising that this strategy also made an appearance in the PSLE paper in 2022. Now let's dive into how we can apply this strategy to solve a question from ACS Junior Prelim paper of 2022. The first thing that we're going to do is to convert the percentage over here to become a fraction. 15% is 3 out of 20. So now we can use either ratio, model, or statement to represent our information here. Now in this case, we will choose to express the information in ratio. So the ratio for the number of beads in blue is 3 units from here. And we were given that there were 56 fewer red beads than blue beads. So red beads will be represented by 3 units minus 56. And then since we are given that there are 406 green beads, we can also indicate that in our ratio, green is 406. Total number of units from this fraction here is 20 units. We can indicate the total number of units is 20 units. Now from here, we can form the magical red line sentence by writing 3 units plus 3 units minus 56 plus the 406, the blue, red, and green to equate to the total number of units, which is 20 units. So by applying your magical red line, you will be able to solve that 1 unit is equivalent to 25. Now in part A, the question wants you to find the total number of beads that she had in the box. And so the total number of beads, as you can see here, is 20 units. So we can find 20 units equals 25 times 20, and that gives us 500 as the answer. So the answer for part A is 500 beads in total. In part B, we'll need to do the same thing of converting the percentage over here to become a fraction, and that gives us 1/5. The question mentions that Lucy's brother bought her some blue beads, and her total number of beads then increased by 1/5. Now, since we know that her total number of beads as found in part A is 500, we can find out what is 1/5 of 500 by using 1/5 to times 500, and that gives us 100. So the number of blue beads increased by 100. The question wants you to find the number of blue beads that she had in the end. We're going to start by finding the number of blue beads that she had at first, which is 3 units. And we found out from the previous part that 1 unit was 25. So to find 3 units, it will be 25 to times 3, and that gives us 75. So this is the blue beads at first. And since we have found out that the blue beads increased by 100, so to find the total number of blue beads in the end, we can use 100 to plus 75. And that gives us 175. So 175 is the number of blue beads that she had in the end. For the second strategy, we have what remains the same. Its ranking remains unchanged from the 2022 analysis. This strategy is considered one of the must-know strategies for P5 and P6, and it has consistently appeared in many school exam papers as well as the PSLE. So if you are still unsure about how to identify the 3 types of what remains the same strategies, please don't hesitate to seek clarification from our teachers and request extra practice in this area. For this question here, let's start by writing down the ratio for each box. So for box A, we are given that the ratio of the number of English to Chinese books is 2:3. And for box Q, the ratio of the number of English to Chinese books is 3:1. And the next information that we're given over here is that there were 4 times as many books in box Q as in box P. So this is actually referring to the total number of books in each box. So we will have to start by finding the total number of units for each box. So for box P, we have the total number of units to be 2 plus 3, and that gives us 5. And for box Q, that will be 3 plus 1, and that gives us 4. Now, since we know that there were 4 times as many books in Q as in P, and P has 5 units in total, so 4 times of this 5 units over here is 20. So we will have to make Q become 20 units so that it's 4 times of P. So we will have to multiply the 4 over here by 5, and that will give us 20. So we will times 5 throughout this entire ratio. And so this is the final ratio for the number of English, Chinese, and total number of books for box Q. And if you do the checking, you can see that Q is indeed 4 times of the 5 units. Okay, so in part A, the question wants you to find the ratio of the number of English books in P, which is this unit over here, English in P, to the number of English books in Q. So English in Q, and that's over here. So we have the ratio to be 2:15, and this ratio is the simplest form. The answer for part A is 2:15. And now for part B, can you identify the key sentence in this question? Now the key sentence is 54 Chinese books were taken out from box Q. So this means that only Chinese books were taken out from box Q, and that the English books remains the same. So we will be using the strategy of one side remains the same for part B. So let's draw out the table to represent our ratios. So for box Q, the before ratio of English to Chinese can be extracted here, 15:5, and the after ratio, as mentioned over here, is 5:1. Now, since Chinese books were taken out from box Q, we know that the English remains the same. So you can apply the strategy of making the English the same. And eventually, you will get the ratio to be 15:3 units. Thereafter, you will be able to compare the initial number of units for Chinese books to the final ratio of the Chinese books, and you will be able to get 2 units to be equivalent to 54. And then you can find 1 unit to be 54 divided by 2, and that gives you 27. So the question wants you to find the total number of books in box Q at first. Box Q at first is 20 units, so you can solve for 20 units by using 27 to multiply by 20. And that gives you an answer of 540. So the answer for part B is 540 books in box Q at first.